Hello. A few things before we begin. One, I would like to point out what the Reverend Levity and Matthew McDowell got me for the Christ of Mass. Do you want to know what is in the box?
Yes.
Show's over, everyone leave. Goodbye. For those of you who did not hear that, I have a musical instrument case. It's like I could walk into a venue and say I'm with the band, and they would say, "What band?" And I'm like, "The band. The God band." I also, fascinatingly enough, this is my life and I love it so much, I had a different outfit that I was planning on wearing today, and then the lovely Jan, who you might have met when you walked in, brought this for me. It's like if a Rainbow and Stevie Nicks had a love child. I'm gonna put this over here because Lord knows I will kick it. Hello, how are you? I am back. I had a little brief hiatus as I was fulfilling one of my life's passions, playing the role of Blanche Devereaux in Golden Girls Live. Yes, thank you. And I know so many of you came and supported the show, and that means so much to me that you came and saw me in drag, stuffing cheesecakes into my mouth as I grinded up and down on Santa. Merry Christmas to me. Yes. Yes. Now the fascinating thing about Golden Girls is that when I would talk to people after the show, everybody loved Golden Girls. Everybody loved Golden Girls. And I was trying to figure out why that is. Why does everyone love Golden Girls? Because I have a belief that no matter what time it is, somewhere in the world, there's an episode of Golden Girls on syndicated television. Why do people love Golden Girls? Now, sure, it was groundbreaking, hilarious, boundary pushing. But was that it? Was it the memories that it evoked? Was it when you watched an episode of Golden Girls, you were usually doing it with a loved one? And so every time that show would come on, it would bring back those memories of cherished ones who may or may not be with us. Is it that everything was solved in the span of 22 minutes? And sometimes we wish for that time span in our own lives. We always say we're on God's time, but sometimes, God, I'm going to need a commercial break. Or was it like me, being a little gay boy in the bitter coldness of Detroit, Michigan, watching four queens living their best unmarried lives in Florida? Now I'm here tonight to talk about love, not Golden Girls, although, let's be for real, not for play, I could do an entire graduate thesis on Golden Girls. Make no mistake about that. But I'm here to talk about love. Love. I want you to picture it. May 2017. The Alchemists are gathered together, strategizing about the year 2018. And we are selecting topics that would one day be the themes of our season. And after an intensive brainstorming session, when the dust settled, we noticed that fear and love were on the board. And then an idea struck. How brilliant and powerful it would be to begin our year in fear and end it in love. So there I was, imagining where I would be, December 2018. Because we are just going through this year-long alchemical process of transformation and grand spiritual growth. So there I was, having visions of who I would be, with all of my wounds healed, all of my fears transformed into love, me being the fully actualized being. That did not happen. Not even close. Not even on the same page. And that's okay. That is wonderful, in fact. So tonight's talk is really a culmination of everything that has happened this past year. Everything that I have learned about love. All of my pitfalls, all of my mistakes, and where I think we may want to consider going on this grand journey of life. The first thing that I want to mention, it's just a little aside, but it bears stating. I did not know what love was until that little pumpkin muffin came into my life. I know, but it's true. I did it. So that was one of the most blessed things that happened to me this year, was becoming a godfather and really, truly understanding what it means to care about another individual, to love them without agenda, without need. And it's been one of the most beautiful and transformative experiences of my life. Now, I heard a rumor through the grapevine. That rumor was that all you needed to do in this life was love yourself. That the key to unbridled spiritual growth, success, development, abundance, and prosperity was self-love. So that became my journey of this past year, was self-love. What does self-love mean? What does it look like? And I have to admit, I didn't really know what self-love was before embarking on this grand journey of self-love. I had a very immature understanding of what self-love was. Like high school adolescent male understanding of self-love. And believe me, I don't need more of that in my life. I'm good. My second understanding of self-love was some fantastical eat, pray, love dream. And so that's what I did. When I started, I began with my physical body, and I believed that self-love was about nurturing myself. It was about going on vacation. Why? Because I'm worth it. It was about taking baths and massages and going to restaurants and buying meals that I cannot afford. It was about going to bed on time. And I realized that in my exploration of self-love, that really what I was talking about was self-care. But is self-care self-love? I mean, perhaps it's an aspect of self-love, but self-care isn't the whole and entirety of self-love. So then I dug a little deeper. And a friend once told me that self-love means setting boundaries. And that setting boundaries is one of the most important things that you can do in your life. And I was like, fine, I hate setting boundaries, and Lord, am I bad at it. I say yes when I really want to say no. I give things that I am not meant to give. I go out to social functions when I really just want to stay home and watch Netflix. I struggle with boundaries. The primest example of this is, in any sort of party or social situation, I'm usually the first person that wants to leave. And yet, I somehow end up being the last person to leave. And I can see it happening, and it's like a snowball that just becomes one of those gigantic avalanches, because when I have the thought, psychically, someone picks up on it, and they're like, oh, I'm ready to go. And they go, I'm leaving. I'm like, no, I was first. And then it just happens, and before you know it, I'm standing around going, shit. I'm so tired. But boundaries is self-love. But when I examine that a little bit further, I realize that really boundary setting is just self-respect. Now, is self-respect self-love? Or once again, we just sort of touching at these aspects of this enigma called self-love that apparently we all just need to do, and that all of our woes will be fixed if we just love ourselves more. And yet no one can really tell me what self-love is. And so then I went a little deeper. Is self-love about owning our mistakes? Is it about recognizing our flaws and accepting them? No, that's self-acceptance. Is it letting go and forgiving ourselves of the past and demonstrating kindness toward ourselves for our decision? No, that's self-compassion. And the more and more and more I tried to understand what this thing called self-love was, the more and more it moved away from me. But the message never changed. You just need to love yourself some more. Have you thought about taking a bath? Yes, I have. Closer to 2019, after a year of reflections, I told myself I wasn't going to deliver this sermon like Blanche Devereaux. I thought it would be too much, you know, me as Christopher Daniels, playing Reverend Divine, sermonizing as Blanche Devereaux. It's like Inception, like Gayception. Like it would just be too complicated, but she's coming through. The Holy Spirit is coming through as Blanche Devereaux. So as we creep closer to 2019, and I'm taking all these lessons, all these things that I have learned, and I am putting them together, and I am realizing that self-love is overrated. Self-love is a distraction. Self-love is destructive and harmful. Ooh. And as I did a little more research, I realized I was not the only one that had come to this conclusion. St. Augustine of Hippo, 1500 years ago, who is primarily responsible for Western Christianity and Western philosophy, stated that the primal destruction of man was self-love. And that everyone knows self-love. It is about discerning the difference between right love and warped love. John Calvin called self-love a noxious pet. St. Thomas Aquinas cautioned us against self-love because of its multiple meanings and ability to be easily confused. This past November, I went to Rome, Georgia, to the house of Greg Bear, who is the founder of Real Love. You might have heard Reverend Levity and I talk in our sermons multiple times about real love. It's really the cornerstone of our coaching and philosophy, one of them. And he said that self-love was bullcrap. And the reason why he said this is because love is an energy. It is always flowing. It must constantly be moving. When you direct the energy of love inward, where does it go? It stops. The energy stops. The movement stops. You stopped the flow of energy. Now you may disagree and you may say, Rev Blanche. But when I love myself, my capacity to love others expands. My heart grows. So is it not just me taking the energy in and then redirecting the energy out? Sure, that may be true for you. However, if you are empty, afraid, alone, hemorrhaging from the pain of your wounds, how much self-love will it take for you to feel loved? There might not be an amount. It might be like having a hole in a pail. No matter how much you fill it, it will continue to empty out. And so you will continually seek more and more and more self-love. If you hear the message over and over and over again, that if you do not like your life and you want it to change, all you need to do is love yourself more, and your life doesn't change, then it just becomes another reason that you have failed. It just becomes another mistake that you have made, something that you are not doing right. It creates the idea that there is something wrong or broken inside of you. Self-love. But I get it. Reverend Levity laid the groundwork of what I'm about to talk about. Because so many of us are taught that we are broken. I was raised Catholic. I'm a child. It is a fallen spirituality, and it is ingrained within you from a very early age that you have done something to warrant your expulsion from paradise. And your entire life is one gigantic dance of atonement. That there is something you must do to incur the favor of the Almighty Father, who may or may not be pleased with what it is that you do. And as a child, for me it wasn't about love, it was just being okay. I didn't want to end up on the eternal naughty list and spend forever at the South Pole. And then culturally and socially speaking, how often is derision and division ingrained within us to see the differences, to see the ways that we are separate and the ways that we are apart, and whether consciously or unconsciously, you begin to then value different groups, different sects, different paths, different beliefs, different faiths. And we rank them as saying, this person is more deserving, or that person is less deserving. As we are judge, jury, and executioner, we are trying to take the seat of God away from him, her, it, they, source, universe. And what I realized within my own journey of being a fabulous gay drag queen, that self-love was not even something I could comprehend, because the beginning of my journey was a movement from self-hatred to self-tolerance, from self-tolerance to self-acceptance, and then maybe from self-acceptance to self-love. But what that energy did was only alchemize the self-hatred that I carried around for me for so many years. To get to neutral. And I was once again taught you just needed to love yourself more. If you just loved yourself more, It would undo everything. How can you give yourself something that has never been given to you? How would you know that? How could you experience that? How could you feel that? That's like when you tell somebody who's trying to make changes in their physical self, just eat right and exercise. It's really quite simple. I don't know why you're complicating it. You don't know my life. Is it that simple? What's your definition? Is it a definition of healthy? Is it a number on a scale? Is it that you pass the test that your doctor gives you? Is it that you are cancer-free or disease-free? What is your measure? But we just say these blanketed statements. Eat right and exercise, it'll all be great. It's fine. And then we enter the spiritual world. And oh, that spiritual life, with its wounds, and its shadows, and its karma, and its past lives, and its future lives, all converging to ruin your day. And suddenly, these things become something we must conquer, overcome, deal with. Something that must be met with force. And that once again, all of these things would be fine if you just loved yourself a little bit more. So what do? I just basically spent an entire 15 minutes telling you that self-love is a bunch of bull crap. I'm not gonna leave you here. So what do? What is it that we do if the pursuit of self-love is not where we should be putting our energy, our focus, and our attention? At that retreat in Rome, Georgia, Greg Bear said, the alternative is to enjoy yourself. And as I allowed those prophetic words to land on me, I realized, yes, enjoy yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your life. Be the person that laughs at their own jokes. Have no problem being alone with yourself. Enjoy who you are. Sure, there are things you probably want to change, and sure, there are things that you don't love all the time. We ain't perfect, we ain't applied for Sadoid. Things are not always going to be rainbows and unicorns, even when you're wearing a shawl like this. But can you enjoy it? When you move into that state of fear or anger, or you're having a little pity party, can you enjoy it? Can you enjoy the imperfections of other people instead of believing that it's something you must overcome if you get irritated by people? People are irritated! And I love them for it. You see, the problem, the trap with self-love is the self. We are so inwardly focused, me, all the time. Even though most of the world wisdom traditions would teach you to disattach from yourself. That this is just a personality, that this isn't you. This isn't your real you, your authentic you, your divine you. But we care so much. And we are looking, in some ways, for the affirmation of the belief that there is something wrong with us. And you can get on that slippery slope and never get off that ride. If you spend so much time inwardly focused trying to fix yourself, you deny the world the blessing that you are. If you are constantly trying to heal, at some point, you just need someone to come along and say, honey, baby, child, you healed. It's time for a commercial break. we're gonna need it someday, that out! That's our job. That's what we do. So enjoy yourself. The flawed you, the fabulous you, the part of you that isn't accepted, the part of you that people judge, who cares? Enjoy yourself. Which leads into the second thing we can do. See, what I realized was what I wanted was the liberation of the heart. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be free from the chains that I had placed upon myself and unabashedly love everyone. Practice loving kindness in every aspect of my life. I wanted to free my heart. And there's a way to do that. Humility. Now, when I was writing this sermon, I realized that I may need to pick up a dictionary from time to time, because just like I didn't understand what self-love was, I didn't understand what humility was. Once again, Catholic boy. You didn't talk about how good you were. You didn't talk about your successes. You didn't praise yourself. You didn't boast. You were never prideful. You never talked about how amazing you are, because it doesn't matter how amazing you are, because you are still broken. There's still something wrong with you. There's still something that you need to overcome and do better. So why talk about yourself? And I realized that for so long, and for so many of us, we dim that light of true humility. True humility is a spirit of Christ. True humility is invigorating. It is strengthening, soul strengthening. It is uplifting. Because true humility understands beyond a shadow of a doubt exactly who you are in any given moment, and nobody can shake you from that grounded place of knowing. Saint Mother Teresa said that humility is the mother of all virtues. She said that with humility, praise, as well as criticism, are handled even-handedly. True humility lets you recognize that you are part of the one, that you are no better or no worse than anybody else. You are not more deserving or less deserving of anything in this world. You are special. So is everybody else. Congratulations, you're not special. You're just like everybody else. True humility takes you back at the seat of God. True humility is the wine of the gods that gets us drunk on life. What I realized on this journey was that we want self-love, but it's not self-love as we understand it or as we know it. See, as we are infinite, divine expressions of the Creator, what we want is to be recognized for the brushstroke and the magnificent painting that this universe is. What we want to be recognized is for our Creator to look upon their work and say it is good. That is self-love. For God to look at an image of Himself and love it. We cannot know that love. That is a divine love that we don't even have words to express and to understand. But we get close. We get close through the enjoyment of ourselves, our families, our friends, our lives. We do it through humble service, knowing that at any given moment, Spirit could use us to uplift, to edify, to change someone's destiny. That if we just get out of our own way and recognize all the stuff that we want to change, it'll be gone in a blink of an eye. And there will only remain you that is immutable, that is constant, that is unchanging. A wellspring of unconditional love. grace and beauty. God bless.